All right. I just hit record, and I'm not really sure what I want to say, but this is supposed to be an updated video if I end up releasing this video on my YouTube channel, The Watcher's Alchemy. I was reminded by some earth angels that I talked to at my work that I have a YouTube channel. And it's been about 4 months since I've uploaded a video, or well, it's been a while. I did delete some videos. Wanted to kind of reset. So the last video I left up was how to turn air into money. And so for this update, I last left off uh, by getting the job at Walmart in my town, working in the fresh produce and meat department. And it's been a crazy cognitive adventure. All the observations I've been making. And so in my videos, I talk a lot about stress points as far as the conscious awareness into the expansive nature of reality. Expanding yourself and your presence within the limitations of time and space and corresponding with higher dimensional forces to make observations in reality and thus creating your path along the way and manifesting what's in your best benefit. So I talk a lot about that. Excuse me. And so over the months, I have gone quiet. Would be the metaphor or the archetype. So I've gone into the shadows. I don't get much sleep. My mind is just constantly going. My body is just constantly being replenished with energy, and I sleep maybe like 2 to maybe 4 hours. If I've gotten if I've exerted a lot of energy during my day, I can get some sleep. But other than that, I seem to be in go mode every step of the way, and so that's pushed me. Uh, the department I work in is a high demand of physical exertion, physical stress, and so it's pushed my body to the point where I'm now growing in muscle mass, and so it's forced me to get a gym membership. And I found out exactly like what the actual physical statistics are of my body and average and whatnot. I am way below average in fat density. I have only like 10% fat, and then I am like, I don't even know. It's above average for my height and my age, above average muscle mass. So I'm like 136 pounds, and I'm like something like 70% muscle or something like that. I have no idea. Maybe not that much, but the graph showed that I was way above average, and I thought that was actually a very pleasant, positive thing to learn. And so being a very skinny and frail person coming from years of recovering from malnutrition and not being able to treat myself properly, I've surpassed the expectations of my own recovery into gaining in health and muscle mass and a physical physique that is noticeable. So now at work, I am the guy in the room. I am the person that everybody who feels an insecurity about themselves has to look the other way. And everybody who is open and expansive embraces and sees, that I am now winning in my own interpretation of life, in one aspect or another, in a small aspect, be it the physical. So I am doing better physically. I look amazing. I am now I have felt like a superhero because of my cognitive ability. Modesty and ego aside, the cognitive ability in correspondence with physical reality shows me proof in reality that I have something going for me. So I have felt like a superhero, and the archetype that follows me around is that I'm put in situations where I get to be a hero. And I like where I've talked before about pulling people out of wrecked cars and helping people just so happen to be there to help people with first aid, being the only person on spot, stuff like that. The universe hands me these experiences. I observe them. I interact, action with intention, and I get to live out this fun, whether or not it be real or just in my head, the scenario of me being a superhero. And so now that action and intention and understanding has expanded into the physical manifestation of a physical superiority for my average and personal experience. I'm not the biggest person in the world, obviously. The world shows me that by seeing big fit males, that are younger than me, that are older than me, at various sizes and ages, and showing me that I am not realistically superior to others, but in my own storyline, I have gone from being a malnutritioned spinal therapy, because I have a spinal disorder, person, of a weak nature and stature, to being able to be strong and stand with a presence with a seemingly superior intellect, because I challenge my reality, and yeah, it goes back into the modesty. I challenge my reality. I challenge the people in it, and I am always willing to accept something I don't know, and to humble myself to the lack of information. But what's being proven to me out there in the world is that that I'm always right, or technically speaking, always right. I am of a superior intelligence. I'm just using that word to kind of paint, like artistically paint an image. I wouldn't describe me as someone who's superior in any way, but lack of a better word, we're talking about what motivates us emotionally on our own individual life path. So I'd like you to use my words to reflect on what you are experiencing at any given time, and how you may expand in your own reality and what you're experiencing. So starting in this job, what I've noticed is that as I move in, knowing that my presence has the correspondence of fourth dimension of expanding limitations and change within limitations, the change is being manifested as I move through reality, 11th dimension. So I am observing all this and kind of trying my hardest to hold back the ego in the observations, but the ego is relevant and useful in the correspondence of change in between third dimensional space and fourth dimensional space and time, and limitation and the first dimensional presence of self, in creating that chessboard piece that the higher dimensional forces allow to exist in physical reality. So the chessboard pieces move out of the way where they're not beneficial. So what I've experienced is actually the observations of everyone in my department. My department's being decimated. And I'm not saying I'm causing it. What I knew when I was stepping into this role was that everywhere I go, because I know what I know, I just so happen to be in the place where opportunity is being voided. And so I fill the void, is what I hint at. I'm not causing this. I'm not creating this. I'm not decimating this department. It was going to happen one way or another, and in another reality, it would have been left with nobody. So my ability to embody the void of opportunity and to fill it has created a physical change in my body. Now I have this chest. I'm not pumped up right now, but now I have a chest and shoulders that are starting to get wider, and people are noticing and making comments, and where I was not observable and noticeable to the opposite sex, or the people that I'm attracting, and some that I'm not trying to attract, now it is obvious that I am corresponding with that aspect of physical space and time and limitations. And those opportunities are being opened and the void's being filled. So now I get a lot of So the eyes are very important as far as the storyline of your correspondence with higher dimensional forces. All is seen through the eyes. So what you're observing in the correspondence between your eyes and others tells a broader story than just looks. The image you paint on it and the ego that tries to attach to it will dictate the illusionary seventh dimensional forces that open up an opportunity. Okay. So we want to not make them so dense, and we want to go into that shadow realm in our mind and in our mind's eye and allow what is to exist and not paint an image that is not what is. We are our best benefit already, moving through third dimensional space and time in a static completion of self, in a dynamic presence that magnetizes everything that is in the best benefit of everybody else also. So that is what's been happening. And so it comes in a dualistic reality where I am physically and mentally and emotionally drained. But it's a love-hate relationship to the duality of nature, duality of life. So reaching into that shadow realm between the envelope and noticing and observing your presence, having an effect without physically needing and wanting. Reaching and having faith and using the tools that we have in physical reality, I have discovered the expansion of the color blue in higher dimensional correspondence. So blue, because I am of the BlueRay origin or the BlueRay resonance, I am able to interpret correspondence and action with intention through the blue spectrum. So give me a thumbs up if you are a BlueRay, if you get what I'm talking about. You might want to take some hints here. Okay, so blue started coming out, and I started noticing that the expression, that ninth dimensional spiritual completion and expression of the dynamics of presence in your toolbox reflects back what is higher dimensional in correspondence through the color blue. So blue is highlighted, and when you express, or let's just say, you know how people project, their negativity? Well, you can project your positivity or project your presence, which is polarized, through the color blue. So I am like this mysterious, mystical, metalhead, dark kind of aggressive figure who sports a very communicative, magnetizing color of higher correspondence. And so it's not, to prevent the ego from taking over, we have to understand that this isn't me. This is a higher dimension. This is what people have faith in their religions and in their interpretation of what gods and angels are. And that is what we're talking about, correspondence. So we give it up. So I give it up. I am thankful and I am grateful for every day and for everything that the universe shows me. Now, to humble me, to keep me humble, the universe still shows me what is actually in physical reality, and makes me embody the emotional and the reality of it. So I am constantly in that shadow realm, and in my physical reality, it is interpreted as nothing and void, and boy, is it hard. So I'm constantly reminding myself that I'm staring at a vast nothingness in my life. I have no friends. It's like I have nothing, right? No relationships. But things have changed. So there's more, so I've been continuing with the oil and the higher dimension, give that up, higher dimensional correspondence. It is not just me. It is not me doing it. It is me allowing the expansion and understanding the permissions, but it is also giving faith to that destiny, the cognitive destiny that I am living in this quantum reality that is already dictated out in my best interest and the best interest of best benefit of everyone around me. That that the slingshot of potential energy has been set in place, and I don't have anything to worry about. I don't have nothing to worry about. So I've been not wanting to put out any videos because I've been stubbornly, as the ego would dictate, wanting and needing proof and a miracle, right? But in actuality, the proof and the miracle is in my actual reality and my interpretation of self, and in correspondence with physical reality changing in fourth dimensional limitations. It's all changed. Now all of a sudden the world has opened up to me, and I am no longer needing and wanting, although I still am needing and want. If you can understand how that works, you know what I'm saying? Like you're walking through life not knowing that you have everything you need, but then also that something's waiting for you, and it's like you'd really rather have that thing. That is the needing and wanting. So it's a hard dynamic to bust, but at the same time knowing that you have choices. So what I really would like, I try to paint a broader picture. It is not, and you can probably relate with this, it's like you want a relationship and you want the perfect person, but you already know that you are the perfect person in relationship, or perfect person for that relationship that is perfect, that exists. And so the opportunity, whether or not anybody perceives in a subjective reality that is meant to be or not, that you're opening up for it to actually come into physical reality, and you own it already. But the icing on the cake is that the person coming in owns you, or owns the same nature of the correspondence. Doesn't own you, but owns the nature of the correspondence, that it is meant to be. It is destiny. And you almost want to paint a soulmate picture on it, right? But really you're detaching, and you start realizing that you are your soulmate, and that your soulmate is their soulmate, and that you are creating this correspondence, and that is the real nature of the soulmate. That is the real nature of the cycle you're trying to complete. So all of a sudden I'm seeing, it's where I'm passing through these gates where I know that I need to subject myself to more seventh dimension. I need to subject myself to more humility and humbleness and pass through stress points in the fifth dimension. And so I know, what's been happening is I just sort of like allow myself to, there are certain women that are giving me the eye and making some obvious, gestures in my direction, that kind of point out that, oh, well, I can take the option of taking action, or I can just let it be and see what happens. But I'm getting closer to manifestation. So, of the cognitive observation. So passing through the seventh dimension and introducing myself to those humiliating and humbling experiences, and allowing the faith dynamic to take over, will allow this opportunity to open up and come in. And so I've been sort of playing out that role where it's like, oh, hey, you want to talk to me? Like, if at the first girl that I feel is pointing in my direction, and it opens up that seventh dimensional opportunity where all of a sudden I was mistaken, and that's all right. That's perfectly all right, because all of a sudden that tension in third dimensional and fourth dimensional space is created, and the sequences of events can play out in everybody's favor, protecting those who need to be protected, and granting permissions to those who are expanding into their opportunities. And so you make the observations around you to see what's changing with the people around you. So people have been disappearing from my reality, and then I've been deciding, okay, this is what reality is producing, seventh dimension, creating singularities in the observations, and then all of a sudden those people pop into existence again. But not until I've made the observations. And I have to speak a lot of stuff that I know is not reality in order for reality to clarify itself, because I actually know what reality is. And that's my secret. See? So there's a secret that you have inside you. So this goes back to that the bigger picture video where I pointed out that example of how we understood that we were doing this subconsciously anyways, just to get the lesson. So we're doing that purposely now at this point. Where we're doing it and how we're doing it is our secret. That's the shadow realm. But in physical reality and in the fourth dimensional reality, we're creating these, we're participating. We're not creating. We are jumping in and allowing the expansion into the voided opportunity. And so it creates these stress points, and the moments pass through. The correspondences are made from physical to the metaphysical, and time speeds up, or time expands, and all of a sudden opportunities opened up. So some pretty crazy things have been happening, and I've been saying the entire time, and I'm going to say this in a wanting and needing ego way. I'm not going to say this in what's actually happening in the shadow realm or what's going to be manifested in physical reality. I'm going to say the selfish part, because that's the best part to interpret. I want you to decode it yourself and understand where it's going. So I really, really want to be a lead role in my job. Why I want to do that is because I would like the benefit of more hours, of being there more, of having more purpose, of meeting more people, of expanding through time and being able to do that and make more correspondence, of doing the job better, more consistently, and offering that person that fills the void, in the way I speak of the proper correspondence to the voided opportunity. The job requires a certain effort in a certain amount of time and of a certain quality and intelligence to the matter and awareness, and I want to offer just that and above and more, right? Because if I do that, then that offers that opens up void to more opportunity. To not be subject my to not let my ego densify the opportunities coming in allows for the physical expansion and benefit of myself and my presence and all my dynamics. So I've been experiencing the literal physical manifestation of my body getting bigger, of my mind expanding, and of the expansive world of my correspondence in physical reality expanding. So more people noticing me, more people wanting to talk to me, more of what I would really, really want, the ego would really, really want, is for a woman to look at me and be like, he's worth the risk. Okay, I see worth in you. Let's create this together, to open up that correspondence so I can have a normal life. I would really like a normal life. Hence why I want to be in a lead role in my department. I want to do the job right. I want my presence to be known, because it will open up opportunity not only for myself, but for other people and for my partners, managers, associates, the girl who will eventually be my girlfriend, her family, and so on and so forth, to have a normal life, because I've been in the abnormal shadow realm life of the higher dimensional conscious awareness mind, just being a superhero. but what I've really wanted from the higher realms and from God is to live a normal life and to be granted that permission to experience that. And so I know I'm already that. And so in finding myself and in my higher dimensional correspondence, all of a sudden I'm looking in the mirror and I realize you're turning into a regular person, Ryan. You're turning into a regular guy. I go to the gym now. Recently, I recently got a gym membership. And it was some stressful experiences. Some really horrible stressful experiences that would have made me otherwise in another reality want to not go to the gym. Okay, I'm just not that type of person. I'm just having some bad experiences. First time out of the gate, for example, second day I tried to go, they didn't open for 2 hours. I was waiting out there for 2 hours. They weren't open, and they were supposed to open at like 4 a.m. And so it made me actually mad. And so, but as it's making me mad, there's the presence in the self in the shadow realm, being like, wow, this is actually creating something in my correspondence. I must have made the right move. because the distractions, the fourth dimensional limitations and distractions are all in play. I can see them fourth dimensionally, and so fifth dimensionally, I am passing through that like it's no problem. And I'm getting a little bit of a headache on my left side, and it's kind of like that's kind of like archetypally an archetypal manifestation of what you should be feeling when you pass through these sorts of barriers is the symptoms of ascension. So, and they could vary from light headaches to actual physical sickness or weakness, and it can get a lot worse. But anyways, so keeping in mind that I am sort of like explaining this from an ego densifying what's happening to avoid revealing the shadow realm's secrets is part of your mission in life as a higher dimensional awakened being, is to understand what is cognitively in the shadows and what is physically in reality. So all these observations are adding flavor to the constant change and stress I'm going through. So the physical manifestation is in the body, the mental manifestation is in the expansion of the cognition and how it is permeating the cognitions of the people around me. In other words, I am all up in people's heads. Now, that is not necessarily something I'm trying to do, especially not in a malicious way. It's the same principle as the voided opportunity. The voided opportunity opened, otherwise it would have been restricted to my access. See? So there was essential necessity for the correspondence of between my ability to mentally cause an effect in physical reality in the minds of others, to live in the minds of others, basically. And so I've had to experience the humbleness of realizing that I'm living in the minds of others, and that is kind of a gray area you got to work out. When you expand your dynamic presence, it's not that you want to limit that presence, it's that you want to know why and for what reason you're doing it. So you don't ever want to expand into the realm of manipulating the things that people do. You are expanding into a voided cognitive or conscious opportunity. It was asking for your presence anyways. It was drawing in your presence, just like you are drawing in the presence of that which best benefits you. So you are of benefit in a dualistic reality when you are causing stress in other people's lives. Okay? As long as you know that is what is happening. Okay? You have to keep the ego in check and make sure you do not use your superpower to harm your physical reality. Okay? Higher dimensional correspondence. Not everything is positive, but everything has the beneficial outcome for all parties. So the next step, in trying to live a normal life is getting a handle and stepping into the avoided opportunity of a leadership role. And for physically manifesting the worth, okay, which fourth dimensionally will interpret into the sequences of events that lead to the success in the department, the confidence of my superiors and the people around me, and the magnetizing of the woman that steps forward with the bravery to take me on, because I am a very challenging person for a good reason. And so that only means that I'm going to get the best benefit out of reality. And we can all imagine what that's going to look like. Okay? Because I am feeling great about myself. I'm a very good looking person. I like myself. I love myself. And I know that I'm going to love the person that I'm going to be with, because I'm not going to settle for someone who's not resonant. Just like I've talked about in other videos. So I've held out, I've held out for like 5 years. Okay. It is time. All right. It is the time. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Then life has another lesson for me. And and I have my backup plans for when life has its backup plans. And I'm gonna be all right. I have been living the cowboy lifestyle, just not giving an F, uh, living out of my truck, and just not stressing. Just live the cowboy lifestyle, and that slingshot will eventually interpret into that voided opportunity for better living in the future. Okay, everything works like that. As long as you understand that about yourself, is that you, no matter where you are sitting in a larger, more dynamic space and time with less limitations, but you are experiencing the slingshot right now. It's being held. But that potential energy is there. It's all around you. And it's always going to be there until you've stepped in and taken responsibility and accountability for being the one, the superhero that fills that void in opportunity. All right. Well, I hope this video has shed some light on where I've been and what I've been doing, and where my mind is, and I hope it has expanded your ability to cause and create more and receive more for yourself in the coming moments of your life. My name's Ryan. You've been watching the update on the Watcher's Alchemy. I'll catch you later in a higher dimension.